This episode is fueled by Mountain Ops, supplements to conquer more and crush your countdowns. Visit mountainops.com for all your supplemental needs. Fuel, recover, repeat.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Countdown 2 Podcast. I'm your co-host, Drew.
I'm Leighton.
And we're awesome.
And brothers.
And brothers. No, dude, I'm so stoked. Look
Yeah.
at where we are at.
This is our playground. We're at A Basin, Colorado.
Basin, Arapahoe Basin, Colorado, baby.
For the Yeti Cycles Gathering, 25th year anniversary.
That's right, exactly. And so we have the awesome opportunity to ride the lift, show where we're going to be riding, talk shop, and dude, I don't know. I'm just so stoked.
Yeah.
Like we're here.
And we get to dive into Yeti, what their bloodline, what makes them tick, you know, and who they are behind the curtain. And we're gonna have some of their employees on, their freaks, their customers, what makes them freaks for Yeti, and lots of riding.
100%. And I think that real quick, it's just such an honor to be here. It's an honor to be in this place, this position of being like showing what they're all about.
Yeah.
It's humbling for us because we love the brand so much. And then just to be out here representing is awesome. I'm sorry, I'm so distracted by the trails.
The trails, yeah, it's beautiful.
Hit that.
Oh, yeah, because we've never been here before. I've never been to Colorado. This is interesting. Down there, we were at 10,000 feet.
Uh-huh.
We live at sea level.
Yep.
So we have our own challenges to face.
That's a tech trail.
Technically, this is day one of the gathering, but for us, it's day two. We were up at Yeti Cycles headquarters yesterday.
Yep.
We did their lunch run with their employees and a couple other customers. We learned real quick about elevation and breathing.
It is a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Not just hard to breathe, but get oxygen to the blood and to your legs. They'll quit real fast. So,
thankfully, I started beforehand really digging into drawing blood away from my brain so they can go in my body and perform better.
That's normal.
Wait a minute.
Sweet. Okay. Cool. No, we're a podcast about doing hard things and mental health, and we talk about our stories about how we got through depression and suicidal thoughts and alcoholism, and and we like to have guests on, share their stories. We've had a lot of Yeti ambassadors on, Mountain Ops, one of our sponsors. Zirkle, we're sponsored by Zirkle now too, Zirkle Optics, and so we're really excited to really get to know the people at Yeti and maybe end some misconceptions about who their customers are. Something about DDS, I don't know. Well, who knows?
No, absolutely. Everybody up here is a dentist.
Yeah.
And so
we are now.
Yeah,
we got certified at headquarters as dentists,
and we started extracting teeth.
Yeah, man. So it's a crazy experience. I kind of like
it. No, and their new bike does have a cavity.
Has a what?
Cavity.
It does have a cavity. Yeah,
so it tracks.
Yes. The new LT with getting rid of the Switch Infinity, moving to the Sixfinity. And it's an incredible bike. We rode it in the parking lot.
It was rad.
Incredible. Went down like a little 4-stair. That travel, man.
I would argue if it feels good in the parking lot, it's going to feel amazing on the hill.
That is true.
It's just my take.
That is what they say.
However,
I
got to prove it. I want to prove it.
You want to get it up on there, up on the mountain? So we were just talking about learning a lot of things at Yeti headquarters, and one thing we really learned is just how kind and fun their employees are. They're always up for a good time. They are just stoked to meet you, because there's some bikers that aren't cool and chill,
but they're not here.
They don't exist here.
And that's what I love about Yeti too, is like
they can't handle 10,000 feet.
That's right. What I love about them too is that they have they're a race bred bike. The company that they go to all the races, they are top competitors in each race, and they gear their gear for it. But then there's this other side where they got the freaks that buy their stuff, who are totally chill. And I would expect, going to headquarters, I would expect this huge operation, but they're really small.
Yeah, they are.
And like it's intimate.
They're efficient.
In a way. Yeah. And everybody's just chill and inviting. Oh yeah, dude, come on in. And we got to meet the owners yesterday and just all their staff, and it's just been awesome. So like we love the bikes. We've been riding them for years, and so it's rad to get on this side of it where they are just as cool as their bikes.
Yeah. They care so much.
Yeah.
They put so much detail into everything at headquarters too. Style. It's just really a testament to how much work they put into their bikes, and they're so proud, and as they should be. Like they just made podium for racing, and they are ambassadors. They really support that side. They call the ambassadors the yin to their racers yang, which I love, and it's just they appreciate their customer base. Like these aren't cheap bikes,
and they don't really care if you're horrible at riding.
Yeah. Oh man, we were sucking wind trying to climb.
Brutal, man.
Climbed almost 2,000 feet yesterday, and at from 6,000 feet to 8,000 feet, and we were struggling. But on the way down, it was chunky, and their bikes that we ride can handle it all.
Now I am looking for a bear, so that's why I'm kind of looking around.
We're high enough, I think.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, shout out again to Arapahoe Basin.
Yeah.
This place is magical.
Yep.
I've been to several different bike parks. This is, in my opinion, right up there. We'll check out the trails today, see how that tracks.
Yeah.
But so far, it's been rad.
Yeah, today we're going to ride here. Tomorrow we're going to ride Kirkland? I don't know.
Keystone.
Keystone.
Let's try Keystone. It's another beer.
Keystone. Yeah, not the Costco brand.
Yeah.
Oops, I'm sorry.
I see our tent from here.
Oh, whoa. Because you got a 10-person tent for 3 people. Yeah,
dude. I'm so stoked on that tent. That thing's massive.
Oh man, but yeah, this place, we've only been here a day, and it just feels so fulfilled. Like if we didn't do anything else, this would be a worthwhile trip. Our producer and I drove from California. We left at 9 p.m. on Tuesday. We picked Drew up in Salt Lake City and then drove the rest of the way. And it's like 25 hours. It was
I feel
beautiful.
like you guys have driven more than you've actually been in one
alive. Oh, yeah, that too. No, just you realize how big the United States is when you start driving it. And
big country.
Oh, and dude, last night we had lightning and thunder and pouring down rain, setting up tents and stuff. But everyone was great mood. It was like, and it felt like it was gonna snow. It was freezing. But everyone's happy. Like we're here for the stoke. Nothing can get us down. So
that's high praise.
Yeah, man.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Now that you say that,
the challenges are coming. Oh my gosh.
Any other shout outs we want to do? This is just a day one, episode 1, or so to speak. So there's gonna be a lot more of us.
Shout out to Mountain Ops. Shout out to Zirkle. Shout out to Teeter Training. These are our sponsors. Shout out to Fox, Raceface.
Dude.
Who else are we missing? Tasco, MTB. We're honored to represent you guys in this spot that believe in our dream of talking about mental health and people that
and the ride's over
and the
more
ride's
to come.
Over. More to
please raise your feet.
Come.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Countdown 2 Podcast. I'm your co-host Drew.
I'm Leighton.
And we're brothers.
Yes. And today, actually, we are at the Yeti Gathering 2026 in Colorado.
But not only that, we're also at a wedding venue, and a party central and next to the bar. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, this should be really fun, and hopefully that energy gets transferred over to me because we just got done at the bike park down at Keystone. And this is day 2, and we're honored to have Stretch on, the CTO.
Great to be here.
Yeti. Yeah, thanks, man.
Thanks for having me.
Coming on.
Appreciate it.
So Drew, take us through your.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
we just rock out.
I know, it's a little.
I don't know if you hear music in the background, but we're just gonna bump it out.
Real quick, do you want to run us through your resume before Yeti and
yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess how far back do you want to go? What's the usual? What's the typical?
Who are you?
Who am I? All right, I'll just start with Bike World, but
okay.
Yeah, I mean, so always loved bikes, always been into bikes. Fascinated with just the machine and riding. And my oldest brother, or my closest brother, I should say, one of my brothers, was really into it back in the 90s, and I sort of kind of, just like you do with brothers, kind of feed off of that a little bit. So that was kind of my intro to it, I guess. And then I've always, since then, starting like in high school, I worked in bike shops. So worked in a bike shop, met a lot of really good friends during that period of time in high school. And then went on to school, went to CU in Boulder here for mechanical engineering.
Nice.
And when I was in high school working at the bike shop, I met some friends that did a lot of racing in general. And as I went on and moved on to college, one of my good friends actually ended up being the demo person at Yeti.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of that's sort of the in on that side. So there was I was a freshman at CU, and Chad, we call him CG or for Curious George, Chad Eskins, works at DT Swiss at the moment, but
Wow.
really, really awesome person. And he had recommended me. They just needed some extra help at Yeti at the time. And so, basically starting in the summers, anytime I had off of school, I would work at Yeti, and it was quite a bit different then. That at that point, I was like, I want to say there's probably 6 or 7 of us, maybe total.
Oh, wow.
And so basically, at that time we were still manufacturing frames at Yeti in Golden, aluminum frames, and we would I was responsible for all sorts of things, being a pretty small crew, of course. Everything from on the manufacturing side. So I'd be reaming seat tubes and head tubes and threading bottom brackets. And at the time we were literally hand serializing frames in the bottom brackets.
Wow.
So stamping bottom brackets and assembling frames. And at the time, we even had bikes like the DH9 that had a decal that you'd actually hand put on the frame. So putting decals on frames and hoping that I wouldn't put too many bubbles in there.
Yeah.
And so everything that I could in shipping and kind of any way I could help. And so I'd be at Yeti any break that I had a chance. So summers, winters, vacations, those sorts of things. And then I guess from there it was really, so Hug, one of the owners at Yeti and also engineer, really has been my mentor my whole time at Yeti. But he, I was at school and kind of doing the thing at Yeti, and he was looking maybe for some more support on just general engineering problems. And it kind of worked out really well where I could link together, problems that we might be trying to solve at Yeti with school projects, and kind of could double up that way. So I'd be working on a cool bike problem for school for a homework problem. It's kind of a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
And so, that's kind of how it all started at that point. And then I was working at Yeti, and then I took a couple summers off to do some different internships. I was just, at the time I was still pretty young and wasn't totally sure what I wanted to do. Loved bikes, of course, but just wanted to make sure I was checking other things out too. So I did an internship at Ball Aerospace, which is a local aerospace company here in Colorado. And did some very different things than I do today. And then did another one at it's called the Naval Surface Warfare Center. It's in DC area. It's where all the submarine design and ship design is done. So it's really cool things there, like mile long linear tanks and just all sorts of crazy cool, very out of my element things that I didn't have a lot of experience with. So I had that experience, but always just came back to Yeti basically. Yeah. And then I was really at the point there where I had kind of that decision was it, do I keep going with Yeti or do I choose a different path? And obviously the path I chose was Yeti, and zero regrets there. And really enjoy. It's just really like a small family, and fun to work. I enjoy going to work. I'm excited about going to work, and it's been that way for 20 something years. So nice. This was I guess going back there, I started at Yeti in 2004, so I'm on about 22 years.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So
we've heard that a lot on how close all you guys are, and the fun side and the hardworking side, and many hats.
100%.
Yeah, it's a team effort to team passion, for this brand.
100%. Yeah.
In your line of work, developing things, do you work much with the pro team, race team?
Quite a bit, yeah. Okay. I mean, for many years, that's been a huge part of Yeti. Obviously, a huge part of our product and our design process. It's really kind of the ultimate test and validation for what we're doing. So, there's working with the pro team and understanding that can it survive those conditions and the World Cups and basically the best riders in the world. And then from that point, trickling that technology or that information to the general user actually works very well, we found. So it's a proven place to have a testing ground and to gain that confidence that you're going in the right direction and continually getting feedback. And but I think on the other side, it's also race, of course. But there's the other spectrum, right? Like normal people like myself, and that's important as well. And so getting that whole spectrum of riders, at Yeti, ex-pro racers, and then kind of weekend warriors and people like me, B team is what we call it. So, you get that whole spectrum, and you get the make sure that bike's going to work across that whole spectrum, and of course there's differences in tuning and things like that. Sure. But really trying to make the fastest bike for the fastest bike riders in the world, and that trickles down to every rider out there.
Love that.
Yeah,
that's great. So you guys just came out with something a couple days ago. I think it's
somewhere nearby.
It's right back here. If you want to share a little bit about the LT and some things you love and your role. Well, you're the CTO of Yeti, so
it's a fancy word, but
it
doesn't. Yeah, but of course, I love to. It's LT for us is really an exciting one. They're all exciting after many launches over the years, and all the bikes, they're all exciting. And but this one in particular, I think, was sort of that extra step, an extra bit of work and love into the whole project. So it's been, like we've kind of been discussing in just all the other articles and things, it's been quite a few years that we've been working on Sixfinity, which is the linkage technology that we're using on these bikes that we have used on our e-bikes as well. And that all really started in 2016. Was really when the concept of essentially what the problem was back then was we knew we wanted to look at developing an e-bike. We knew we loved a ton of things about Switch Infinity that we wanted to be able to execute similarly, but we were just unable to actually physically package it, with the drive unit and the battery in the way. It was just something that we couldn't physically fit. So the engineering challenge at the time was how can we develop a system that is able to mimic a lot of the properties or performance properties that we have of Switch Infinity with these new new challenges on packaging in general. So that really led us down the road of looking at 6 bars. And we can get into that for sure, what that actually means. But there's some history there for us too, where we actually have worked on 6 bars in the theory side of things, in IP and so on, actually quite a few years prior to that. So I think, don't quote me exactly, but around 2010, we had actually some IP that's also a 6 bar that's related to the technology that we use in Switch Infinity. That kind of IP family is related. So we weren't, six bars weren't totally new to us, but so that was actually just a good background for 6 bars. But really the reason why my mind went there on the 6 bar side is that you just gain a ton more fidelity or ability to tune. There's some nerdy side of it, but I like to bring it up where there's basically these things called instant centers. And like you've heard it for like a Santa Cruz VPP, a VPP is essentially, if you go to the nerd term in mechanical engineering, is an instant center, or instantaneous velocity center if you want to get really nerdy. And you can go just do some basic math relative to how these systems work. And there's an equation that's just, it's n times n minus 1 divided by 2. And n is the number of bars that you have in the system. That's a 1 degree freedom system. Sorry, I'm getting nerdy, but it's to basically what that tells you is how many instant centers there actually are in the whole linkage. And for, if you go to a 4 bar, you can do that math pretty quickly on where you end up. And on a 6 bar, you're at 15. So there's basically, you're going from 6 to 15. And so the thing about that, I guess, to as you get into the nerdy world, is if you think of like factorial, which is basically like how many combinations of, these numbers can you come up with? And if you have 6 factorial, so how many instant centers you have, it's like 700 or something. And if you go to 15 factorial, it's like trillions. So it's kind of like I like to bring it up as a nerdy way to talk about how many more options there are to basically tune. So what that really means on that 6 bar is that you can have, you can place these members and these linkages in different places that you didn't have the opportunity before, but you can still get the performance variables that you're after that we, when we talk about anti-squat, anti-rise, leverage rate, these things that we care about on the performance side, we're able to still actually achieve those, but with very drastic different locations of the pivots that you wouldn't have been able to do with a 4 bar. Mm-hmm. So, and there's lots more you can talk about there, and pros and cons and things like that, but a little taste of the nerdery. So,
no, I love that. And, it's from what we've heard and what others of your team have talked about, is just its tunability is insane per rider, per even trail system and all that stuff like that. Can you dumb it down for us? Talk to us and share, we're 5.
Yeah.
for the commoners like us who would pick up a bike like this, where's the advantage on that side? Because we're not racing, we're not looking, I mean, we think we're fast, but where's our advantage in that?
Well, I think like if you go back to the previous conversation, we were talking about the race team, and you're learning from the best riders in the world in the most strenuous conditions. But all that information can actually still trickle down, or that to a normal rider to make them faster as well. So generally, trying to make all riders faster, you kind of have to start at that point and trickle yourself down. But so I'd say in general, that's sort of the philosophy is it's going to be, if we're making those guys faster, it can actually make an everyday rider faster as well. And then if you're going down, it's maybe more simplified in terms of some of these properties that we're trying to do with Sixfinity is, again, we're trying to really actually match a lot of the things that we did with Switch Infinity, and we actually do very, very closely. So there's part of the reason is we're matching it. We have this ability to tune around different packaging a lot easier, and there's actually quite a few structural benefits as well. If you go back to the things we're trying to match on Switch Infinity is basically it's typically a difficult task to design a bike that's not only good at climbing, but it's also good at descending. It's they're battling for the against each other. Sure. And so the big part, if you go back to Switch technology and then Switch Infinity and now Sixfinity, is that we have a very common theme across all those, where we have this sort of dual nature of how the bike can perform. So we are getting a bike that's climbing really well and also descending really well, and in a way that's, I'd say, atypical than what you typically see. So that switching motion, without getting into too many details, you can kind of think of it as that link is moving up and going one direction, you get a really good climbing bike. And as that link is switching down and moving downwards, you get a really good descending bike in the layman's terms. So that's what we're still doing on this bike. And then you need to control the leverage rate. So what that means is there's a mechanical advantage that the linkage provides relative to the shock. So you can think of it very simply as, you have a big wrench and you're tightening a bolt or loosening a bolt. The longer that wrench is, the more leverage you have, more mechanical advantage you have. Right. And so we're trying to get a leverage rate curve that the higher the leverage, the same thing, the softer the suspension is going to feel. And then the lower the leverage, the firmer it's going to feel. And so we're trying to get a bike that starts high and ends low. And then we're getting very specific on the shape it takes from the extended point to the compressed point. And then also the slope that it has. So the higher the slope of that curve, the more progressive. And essentially what that means is that you're going to start off with higher leverage. It's going to be softer in the beginning and firmer at the end, and it's going to get firmer quicker.
Interesting. Okay.
And so one of the things on Switch Infinity that we have on our e-bikes and also continue on to the LT is the ability to tune that leverage rate progression. So you have a very consistent curve, a curve that's it's not to be confused linear in terms of progression, but linear in terms of the shape. So it's a very straight line. And that straight line does a few things for us. So it's a straight line that has a negative slope and different negative slopes depending on what chip you are in the shock. And so what that's basically doing for you is allowing that user to tune the bike for them. So we know and acknowledge that people have different riding styles. They're choosing different shocks. Maybe it's a coil shock. Maybe it's an air shock. Maybe they're riding in Whistler, maybe they're riding in Colorado. So it allows like a lot of tunability for that rider. And, maybe if you're more park like we're riding today, you might be in the more progressive mode where it's going to ramp up a little bit more quicker. You can pop off things and jump a little bit easier. And maybe for a typical ride in Colorado, we're preferring a lower rate, more like our race team.
Right.
And so you get this consistent curve that's really predictable. You're going to have a sensation when you're riding that is consistent, I guess. So you don't have a random moment where things feel a lot different. And then that curve that we get also really helps for tuning and tunability. So we can really focus on the damping and get the best of both worlds, where we're able to tune in the beginning and the end of the curve.
Yeah.
Little tunery, but yeah.
No, that's okay. I'm not sure if our definition of 5-year-olds are the same. Yeah. But that worked.
It works. Yeah. That's okay. That's a good point. I have a hard time. I get excited about it and then want to talk about it. So
no, I understand that totally.
But the 5-year-old would be soft in the beginning, tend to firm at the end, feels squishy and good, and doesn't bug out.
Oh, I understand. I got it. Thank you.
There's a 5-year-old. Yeah.
No, that's absolutely incredible.
So the old style, the old not Switch.
Switch Infinity.
Switch Infinity. I'm getting all jumbled.
Yeah, no worries.
When you jump on this, do you feel the difference?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for a few different ways, but it's actually pretty interesting to think about. Like, there's things that we still don't understand. Like, there's always things that we're learning. Like, I think that's like been a big goal of our engineering team in general, is to, always be humbled in that way, where, like, I've been doing this for a lot of years, and there's a ton of stuff that I still don't fully understand, and I'm still learning, or I'll have days where I'm like, man, that finally clicks that I actually understand it pretty well, or I can repeat it to somebody, something along those lines. But yeah, I guess the reason I bring that up is because it's interesting in that we can actually have a lot of curves that are really close. They mimic each other between switch infinity and sixfinity, and we'll get benefits out of sixfinity that I have some ideas. I won't fully disclose them here, but as to why. But we're still, not 100% sure as to why. But we do have some theory as to what that difference might be. So even if a curve is exactly the same between two bikes, there's a lot of other things that are occurring structurally, and how pivots are moving and instant centers are moving, etc. And so that can help explain the differences as to why. But I would say yes in general. And the two things that I feel are, one is just kind of better small bump and better square edge hit impacts. And even if you have that identical, some of those identical curves, but we do have one curve that does stand out, and it's different than switch infinity, which is, we didn't talk about, but on the 5-year-old one, it's braking, and it's braking, brake hard. Your body pitches forward, and you're going to go over the bars, and that's called weight transfer. That weight is transferred forward. And so what we can do with the linkage is actually take advantage of the geometry of the linkage and have an opposing force that actually compresses your suspension. So we can counteract that pitching of your frame as you're braking, so that you're more stable. But if you perfectly counteract it and you become totally stable, you actually end up losing some traction, because you're actually forcing the suspension to compress. And you can kind of have this Goldilocks area where one of the cool things about sixfinity, and what I would say the difference, another one I feel is braking. And so we have this freedom with sixfinity to choose any anti-rise magnitude that we want, or amount. And we specifically chose a different value than we have on switch infinity. So switch infinity is about 100%. So it is actually really close to that equilibrium that we just described. But it really actually ends up being the anti-rise that we sort of ends up being good, because it's still a good choice. But we don't really have any option to change it while we're still optimizing leverage rate and anti-squat, but we can independently change that on sixfinity and choose a lower value. So really what that means on sixfinity is we get a bike that just has a bit more traction when you're braking. And so you still have a decent amount of balance of geometry preservation. It's not like a huge jump down, but it's sort of that Goldilocks where you're trying to, it's going to be a trade-off regardless. And we try to choose that trade-off in kind of just the right spot where you're getting the best of both worlds.
Nice. Cool. Wow. It's insane just how much goes into this, and the art and work that you guys put in, and the team. And
well, the team is, I definitely want to call that out, because like the non-5-year-old nerdery that we were talking about is I really live and focus in that world and really enjoy it. And but man, our team is incredible. We have 2 design engineers, lead engineer, industrial designer, and then we have, I don't know, Dave Zigman, who's our shock tuner. So it's actually a really small group relative to, look at the caliber of riders we get in the world, and just product that I think that we have. It's always something that I'm really proud of, having those guys just nailed it out of the park. And we we really take the bike and break it into all these different sub problems, and have each individual really focus on their expertise and put their passion and really life into it. And get what you see here.
So on that note, with everybody's passions, their expertise and stuff like that, you talked about curves earlier, and with curves, you're looking for the best efficiency possible. And how many curves are we talking? Because every time you change something, that changes the curves up.
100%, yeah. It's I guess a few things to add there would be 100%. So it's a huge puzzle, actually. Like I always try to think of different ways to explain it, and I never get a great analogy. But like one analogy I think is interesting is think of a balloon, and your variables being like, I don't know, like a fist. So like if you think of a 4-bar, maybe if you're pushing it with your fist, you're affecting the balloon and pushing it, bolting it somewhere else. But maybe you're optimizing one variable with your fist. Right. But then you have 3, so you're pushing another one, and it's pushing all over the place. It's making this weird blob. But the way, as you go from 4 to 6, you can kind of think of it as like a smaller pressure point. So maybe instead of your fist, you're talking about your finger.
Right.
So they are still all affecting each other mostly, but the effect is smaller. How they're impacting each other. So the puzzle is, how do you get all these curves that we're trying to strive for performance without negatively affecting the other?
Sure.
And then getting what we would say in our minds and our flavor, and there's something, there's no perfect one. It's what our version of perfect is.
See, that's
we're
perfect.
able to do. Yeah.
Because 5-year-olds understand balloons.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
keep up.
Push the balloon.
Keep up with that analogy.
Keep the balloon a cylinder or a sphere, but we don't want it to be a weird oblong dog at the end. So, but yeah, there are a ton of families. Like even like anti-squat, it depends on what cog you are in your cassette. There's all these other variables that we're assuming. We're assuming a certain center of gravity.
Yeah.
Long story short, these are tools that we use to give a broad idea of what's happening. It's almost overwhelming and impossible to get to a level where you can define it small enough to really get very granular.
Sure.
So they're tools that, of course, they're in their own way, they have problems, and across the industry there's problems because everyone's defining these things differently. And so in the end, you kind of have to focus on how we do it and use our background data as a baseline and keep building off of our own data. Right. And then, to some extent, we kind of have to ignore what others' data is unless we're mapping it ourselves.
Yeah. And it blows my mind just all the options we have here and the new technology, because I'm on a 2017 SB6C and I love that bike.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't imagine it getting any better.
Yeah.
And so eventually,
Will this make him faster?
I think the honest answer, like no joke, like I think is yes. Like it's
5-year-old understands.
Yeah, 5-year-old understands. Like
we're good.
I would honestly confidently say yes. Like I feel on the LT, like you go back to that kind of higher level of what it's going to feel instead of the nerdy technical stuff. But what we have going on with suspension, we kind of went through that a little bit, but also geometry. And, obviously the big change that we have here that's been more of a focal point is just having a rear center, front center balance that is different than what we've done in the past. And it's a bit scary for people. And you see the numbers and you're like, there's a lot of conclusions that your mountain bike world mind will make. And, we had those ourselves actually. So when we had these mules that we were testing with really crazy geometry that we could go way overboard, and we definitely did. But it was really pretty surprising to see some of our own intuition being squashed, I guess, if you will. Like we were like a longer rear center was going to be slow and feel like a limousine and not be able to do switchbacks and whatever you might have in your mind. And it was pretty fun to kind of break your own intuition and be like, man, this is not what I was expecting. Right. And for me in particular, I'm 6'4", so hence my name Stretch, but
a little short.
And so extra large for me, and if you look at that rear center, front center ratio, so rear center is just the horizontal length from your BB rearward, and front center is forward. So that balance is actually really critical to how much you're weighting the rear, how much you're weighting the front. And maybe against intuition, the longer the rear is, the more you're weighting the front. And so if you look back in time of especially extra larges, the large and extra larges in particular, what we've kind of found as we did a lot of this testing was that the medium and smalls were sort of in this happy Goldilocks zone just by kind of almost by happenstance, maybe some time as well. But typically, rear centers were consistent, or they were the same linkage positions across the board, and then just the front centers were growing. So really what that ended up doing, especially on the extremes like the extra large and large, was having a ratio where your rear was actually pretty short relative to your front. And from the 5-year-old standpoint, I mean, you couldn't weight the front as easily. So what I find on the longer rear center is just a huge amount of confidence. And what I mean by that is that there's sort of like a sweet spot of where your body is positioned. Let's start descending first when you're going downhill. So on our previous bikes, or say the 160 as an example to compare to, I had to be really, even in my mind, conscious of being like, all right, get over the front when I'm descending, be aggressive, weight the front, and then everything felt great. But it was a kind of a pretty small fine line of where I could be positioned to still feel great. And if I got tired, I'd lean back a little bit, and then I wouldn't feel great all of a sudden. But that sweet spot with that ratio being closer to what the mediums were in the past really gave me almost like no area where I couldn't really go wrong. So I could be positioned where I was lazy, or I could still try to be great, aggressive, be over the front, but it always had the right amount of force in the front and had this confidence direction that I've never had before.
Yeah.
And just that ability to, so I guess when I go into two things, like for cornering for me, it's kind of unreal. Like I feel like I can actually know what a corner, like a proper corner is and what it feels like, or I'll have like an occasional two-wheel drift corner that I didn't feel like I was going to die. You know, it actually like felt okay. And so for me, that's saying a lot. And then the other thing is just with that confidence and maybe going back to like, all right, the longer rear center is going to be less playful and less fun and those sorts of things. But for me, it's literally the opposite. And it's the opposite because I'm more confident. So I'll be willing to, hug myself into positions that I would never even think about in the past because I'm so much more comfortable and so much more confident. So I actually equate it to more fun for me. And then on the climbing aspect, it's similar where you have this bigger sweet spot where I can almost climb lazier or again, I don't have to, it's almost less tiring because I'm not consistently trying to weight the front in technical scenarios as much as I would have. And I can kind of grind through a technical scenario more so. So it ends up being, at least for me, of course, everyone has different takes and flavors but I think it makes me a better rider. And I think that can occur across all different levels of riding. If you're at the highest level, well, it's going to make those guys feel more comfortable and confident, and then they're going to be able to go faster. It kind of trickles down to everybody. And again, it's not, there's no right or wrong answer. That's the fun thing about bikes is that, we are making our own flavor of bikes, what we think our team is going to enjoy, what they do enjoy, what everyone at Yeti enjoys, and we hope others enjoy it. It's not like this is the right, you have to do it this way. It's everyone enjoy, let's go ride bikes and enjoy it. So.
Yeah, which is all, the core of it.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question. I think it's interesting.
It's all been boring,
you can do it age appropriate. Not sure, but so anytime new technology comes out, whether it be a vehicle, bike, airplane, whatever the case may be, how do you guys trickle down this technology and information to, let's just use your race team, to their mechanics, to their, the tunability and all that stuff like that? Do you take them through a class or how's that work?
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty tightly involved with the scenario across the development. A development for this LT, it was, the 10 years relative to the kind of the concept of Xfinity, but typically it's about a 2-year development cycle from maybe like, all right, we're going to kick off this project to having something mass produced to actually sell. And so they'll be involved in that process throughout. But of course, as we fine tune it and we get feedback from them and we pass along, here's what we're feeling, and then they'll be do testing on their side. And it's sort of as I mentioned, it's a bit of a different world because their caliber of riding is so much different and so crazier. But our shock tuner, so Dave Zigman, we haven't talked about this aspect at all, but the mechanical side of everything that we're doing, the kinematics, the geometry, it really is part of the story. And the other part of the story is how you're doing your damping of the rear shock. And so, you can do it one way where you design this bike and then at the end you try these shocks and see what works. And we really don't want to go that direction. We really try to communicate that schematics with Dave and I back and forth and the rest of the team really early. So the mechanical side is kind of jiving with what our theory is on the damping side in the very beginning.
Sure.
And then we're actually doing this shock tuning, we as in Dave is really the one that has this magic feel where it's sort of hard. If you ride bikes, you can understand it better, I think. But some people are very good at being able to articulate like a qualitative feel on the trail to like maybe a quantitative value or what might be happening mechanically. And most people aren't. I'd say it's a very small group of riders, even on the professional side, that really are very good at articulating that information in a way that's useful for design and for engineering.
Right.
And Dave's one of those people that has this magic ability to, he's such a nerd on the technical side on what's happening with dynos and all the motor world and everything in damping and he's such an expert in that field. And then he can relate that to what he's feeling when he's riding and also an incredible rider. So, I guess where I'm getting there is having this ability to have that shock tune speak or communicate well or align well with what we're doing on the mechanical side, and that's another big aspect of kind of our effort on the engineering side.
Yeah, that makes sense. To bring it down to the 5-year-old level,
Yeah.
basically what I'm hearing you say is when somebody like him is riding, he can be like, oh, in this turn, at this angle, at this degree,
Yeah.
at this speed, this is what I was feeling, this
Yeah.
is what we should adjust.
Yeah, and maybe it's like I need to change the shin stack by a crazy
That's
small
amazing.
amount in order to get the feel on the dyno that I'm expecting to want to have on the trail. Like that level of granularity of what he's feeling.
That's amazing.
And then also like a lot of the damping stuff is very counterintuitive. Like it just is, which is kind of a strange one, but where you, as a normal average rider, you might be like, this is what I'm feeling, so this is what I need to adjust. And I'd say, I guess I've learned from my own intuition, I was definitely one of those people for sure. And I've definitely learned that a lot of times it's literally the opposite of what I'm thinking that I need to adjust, what I should adjust. And it's just not very intuitive. And so he's very good at, understanding that and understanding the damping to such a level that he'll walk you through kind of the steps that, because you describe him sensation of what I'm feeling on the trail, he'll know, quantitatively what he needs to change on the damping side.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fascinating. That's being in touch with
Yeah.
the bike.
Yeah. He's,
So you
Probably-
guys know about these things pretty well.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's sleep with his bike. No,
he made.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, here's. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
asking all these
dude, I am
questions.
deer in the headlights and all. So good.
Yeah. No, it's cool. No, I was curious. Like, so you were saying this bike started to gain some traction. No pun intended. 2016.
Yeah.
Your race team was doing so well
Mhm.
and has been doing so well all these years.
Yeah.
What was the driving force between, hey, let's just throw this out?
Yeah,
Not that
yeah.
you threw everything out. You're evolving, obviously.
Yeah.
It seems.
I give two answers. Like the one was we were first looking at E, so we knew we had to solve find a solution for e-bikes. We wanted
That's true,
to be able to have the performance that we had prior. But I think it's actually a good discussion point in that we are also that's just sort of our DNA. Like it's been
Sure.
Yeti for, part of the reason, I guess it start here is that me being in the role that I'm in, I actually feel like a ton of responsibility relative to Yeti's history where, if you look back well before my time, there's just crazy innovation with Yeti and this willingness to think outside the box and also just try crazy things and always be learning, essentially. And so I think we really strive to continue that. And even if, like you're like, oh, how can bikes get any better? We're always like, that's like what keeps us going basically,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Is always thinking of ways that it could be better. And I think Yeti's really cool in the way that they, really welcome that and allow for it and invest in it and support it. So, you have some crazy ideas and we try them. And, we have a whole laundry list of crazy ideas and IP and things that we work on. And some of them never come to fruition from a commercial side, and some of them do. And the ones that don't, we just end up learning from in a different way. So I think for sure, I would say that's, if I had one way to describe kind of Yeti engineering in general, is that, yeah, we have some great bikes and I agree that we do, but we're always going to be playing around in the back end and trying other crazy things and trying to make it better. And it's really, to be honest, it starts selfish. Like we're all there for the same reason. We love bikes and we want to make them better. And so it starts there. And then, hopefully others will align with things that we find are cool and working better and so on.
Nice.
Amazing.
And that makes perfect sense. Is there a reason why this, I don't know if took so long is the exact question
Yeah.
per se, but just 10-ish, 10, 11, something like years, have
Yeah.
bikes in the past taken that long to develop, or was it part of it because the MTE design was coming
Yeah.
to fruition and all that, or?
Yeah, again, I kind of give it two answers. I think the first answer would be that, we're a pretty small team,
Sure.
first of all. So, and we have, a decent sized product line relative, it's not exactly, let's call it 10 models. And we're a team of 6 total on the engineering side. So we have to, really pick and choose what models we're able to update and when we're able to do it, and then really be core to what we want to be making and what we think is going to be, again, it's sort of selfish, but what is our core competency and what we enjoy building and designing, et cetera. So I think part of it is just the ability to actually execute more is tough, just relative to our size. But I also think we, kind of going back to the previous discussion of our kind of push to always be making things better.
Yeah.
That is always happening in parallel. So we, back in the day, a good example would be like 303 technology, if you're familiar. So like our linear rails that we use, and those, that went on in the background for a lot of years, prior to either coming out to fruition, or bikes that we made for prototypes that didn't actually end up getting to the market. So it's just the way that we work, it's having multiple things going on in parallel when we're able to on the R&D side. And the general idea there is that you have R&D that you can be doing in parallel, that you don't have to be stressing about. You don't have to push too early. You can really focus on getting it perfect. And then when you have the ability and the resources, then we can kind of have that in seed for the ability to then produce. So it's sort of two answers there, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can keep going.
You can.
Okay.
If you.
No, I love it. I hope you're okay with it. I just sort of nerd out a little bit.
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's right. Did you have much work in the downhill bike?
I did, yeah, quite a bit. So, again, our whole engineering team, but so I guess to start there that's also a Sixfinity bike.
Yep.
We've been bringing that up lately because I think it's actually not very obvious that it's a Sixfinity bike. If you look at the LT, what we call the timing links, that's connecting the rocker to the lower switch link. Those are very obvious and they're very visible. And on the DH bike, they're in the center, so they're connected on the inside of the rocker, on the inside of the switch link, and actually through the center of the seat tube. And so there's a couple reasons for that. One is that, you don't have a drop post, so you just don't have to worry about having to fit a drop post.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's
awesome.
part of it. On all of our, on a pedal bike or an e-bike, you obviously have to fit a dropper post. And so straddling that seat post area is essential in order to do that. So that's why you see that different architecture. When you get to the DH, it's a high pivot bike. So you have kind of different locations of where your drivetrain is and so on. So it was actually helpful to have that timing link be in the center. And also just visually it was fun, like is a fun to play with. And that was part of the coolest thing about the DH project is the background there. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but basically Richie came to us, this is 22 in the summer, call it like July, August, that he wanted to race DH, and of course we wanted to support him, but we didn't have a DH bike. So but he wanted to also race DH in 2023, so that's not a lot of time to make that happen. And so we had about literally a month to design that bike.
Wow.
And so we had all of our engineering team just focused on that bike in about a month. And
did you live there?
Yeah, I mean,
you had long flowy hair before that, right? Didn't you?
Exactly. I never had long flowing hair. Let's start there.
Dang, that's insane.
So yeah, super quick. And to give you I'll go maybe couple more bits of information. So one, we did the design in about a month, open tooling in I think it was September. Then we had a bike that we were actually riding in December, which is just crazy fast in carbon. So going back to that conversation of about 2-year timeline, in order to typically do that, we kind of condensed that into a matter of a few months. So super fast. And it was, I guess, two sides of that too, as well, is that, yes, it was really fast, but being bike nerds and also having Sixfinity kind of in the background for quite some time, there was definitely some ponderings on my side of kind of how we would execute it if we were to do a DH bike. So we at least had that going into that, kind of seeding that 1 month of heads down and making the bike happen was what would we actually do if we were to make a bike, a Sixfinity DH bike, and how would we execute it? And so we had that, not like a firm study, but just kind of in the back of the mind of what we would do. So that was a good starting point. And that really led to, what you see on the LT and having this kind of testing that we described where, excuse me, where we use that, testing that bike at the World Cup level, seeing how it's going to be in terms of durability, what the race scene's feedback is, and just giving us more and more confidence to get to where the LT is today.
Nice.
But yeah, big part of the kind of theory back end side of the DH, and then of course the engineering team to do the execution.
I think the race team modeled their speed off of how fast you guys made the downhill bike.
Yeah,
That's absolutely insane.
Nobody's used that.
Yeah,
Thank you, Tyler. No, so my question with that though is, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, the DH at least at this point is not going to be released to general public.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that, and you're being on both design teams.
Yeah.
Obviously, your whole team being on both sides. Is there a sort of I don't know if sorrow is the word, but just like there's a lot more fanfare, obviously, with the LT. Do you feel a little bit of a pull in some sense of just like, oh, but this was my baby as well, but
on the DH
it's
side?
not as
I mean,
promoted or shown. Yeah.
I guess like of course there's been a lot of great feedback and people just being interested in the DH, and we appreciate it. We don't just totally disregard that. We actually think it's awesome that people are excited about it. It is one of those things that the focus is definitely the team. It's sort of like that long approach that we described, the 10 years to get to the LT. It's a similar thing that we're doing on the DH, and what we do in the level of scrutiny that we put on ourselves when we get a bike into production, like this LT, is a lot harder and a lot higher, and our expectations on ourselves is a lot higher than a bike that we designed in a month.
Sure.
And so that's really a lot of the reason as to why. And we're still learning from the race team as well. So the general thought is, take all this information that we get from the race team, give ourselves the opportunity to put the design effort that we would and scrutiny that we would on the model that you see right here on the LT, but with the DH, and we'll get to that point at some point for sure. And it's also one of those things, like, it's having those guys at that level have a unique bike is fun as well. And have that ability to kind of spit out this unique bike that's for a small number of people is kind of exciting in its own way. But the long story short, we learn from all these things, and eventually we'll execute something that's for the public.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Actually, I ran into Axel today on the mountain. He had the DH bike with him. Said it's a blast, but there's a sense of pride. And he himself loved talking about it and everything like that. So
it's so cool. He's just so pumped on bikes, and then which is awesome at Yeti as well, but also just a total ripper, like just crazy fast, and you can just see it, like that excitement of getting to ride this bike that not many people get to ride.
Right. And that's special.
And he's doing amazing for the season, and so we try to support that as much as we can internally as well. We have a few of them that we're able to ride, and on the nerd side, and others that are kind of wanting to ride it. So we again, it's just taking all that information, learning from it, and when we do get to a point to execute something for production, it's again something that we have turned over every leaf and just gone to such a deep level of feeling confident in every little aspect of it that's something that we want to make sure that we do.
No, and it's evident our producer here was on the 160E for the first time
nice
ever riding a bike, and so clearly the Yeti design team did right by him as well.
He's faster than us. It's crazy.
Perfect. The whole spectrum.
He got to ride an e-bike before us, so we're a little bit jealous, and
nice.
We're happy for him. I swear.
That's right. Exactly.
That's right. It's a fun bike.
Your piece?
I'm good. Minus if we wanted to get into the vulnerability thing, or if not, that's fine too.
Do you want to cry?
Do you want to cry? I would love to. Let's cry. Let's see what we can do.
You want to explain that part?
Sure.
And ask the question.
Yeah, kind of what we talked about before. We're podcast that we're not just here to talk about specs and bikes. Obviously, this is a very special episode with we get the mind behind this brand new amazing bike of a brand that we love, Yeti, who mountain bikes has helped us get through so much in life, crappy depression stuff. So we talk about that in the pod, and
That's
so
awesome.
I was wondering if there's something in your life that you've gone through that was difficult. If mountain biking helped with it at all, and if you had a great life with no trauma, that's okay too.
I guess we got
I think be impressive with no trauma for sure.
And the reason behind it too is just the sheer fact that a lot of our listeners draw so much from it. Where it's just like, oh, there is hope out there. Oh, there is this out there. And we've turned people onto mountain biking in general, or just getting out in the outdoors, or whatever the case may be. And so our desire and goal behind this is not just you. It'd be great if you cried, joking. But I'm just messing around. But more in the sense of just like, who else needs to hear this? Who else can benefit from?
For sure.
A story of turnaround or whatever the case may be. So.
I guess maybe a couple points there I'd start with is one, yeah, I guess starting with the Yeti lunch ride is a fun way to think about it for us. Where I know for me, you can get to work or get to Yeti in the morning. Our lunch ride's typically at like 11:30, and you can be having it's an awful day for whatever reason, or you're stressed out or you're busy or you name it, right? And you're just like, this is not the day that I want. And then you can go for a ride, and maybe you have to push yourself to go on that ride sometimes. And but man, can it incredibly turn your day around. So I think that's just like a very obvious one for us, where as mountain bikers, that it's almost like you can just completely reverse your specific day that you're having or moment that you're having by either being with people that are riding or just the physical work that you're after, or getting in that kind of flow state where you aren't thinking about anything anymore. And you're just, that's usually when you ride the best, for sure. Like I noticed that, where if I have a lot on my mind and maybe starting that ride, and as I get through longer and longer the ride, I'm actually just thinking less of that, maybe those particular things. And then maybe to a point where hopefully you're thinking about that at like zero.
Yeah.
And that's where you get to that point where you're having fun and your mind is cleared, and then you have this kind of an amazing switch in your demeanor and feeling that you have for that day. And I think that is true not only for lunch rides, of course, but for any time you go on a ride for the most part. So I think a lot of people share that as like it's a free tool to it's a race button or a reset button, and I utilize that all the time.
Love that.
I can't even imagine just like the lunch ride, just productivity of, the afternoon you're dying down, but if you on lunch, if you go for a nice, awesome ride, you're vamped up again.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's end the day strong.
It's super awesome. And then of course, on top of that, just like physical fitness and you have this peer pressure too. Like there's days, of course, where you're like, man, I just want to do nothing, or I'll keep working. And you have, a few buddies down the hall that are all getting ready and yelling at you to go, and then you go, and then it's the funny thing. I think we've talked about this a lot, like at least in my group, where you have, there's those moments where you're like, I don't want to ride, I'm tired, and for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then I've literally had no time ever where I've gotten back from that ride, and I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have gone on that ride.
Yeah.
Like it's it's that that push from others, and then you get that clarity and that reset that we were just talking about. And you get this exercise that you also is good for you as well, and those things I think feed off each other and get you in a good loop for sure.
And you bond with your community because they're like, let's go,
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And it sounds like it really takes you back to why you're there in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's in the end, like, we're making bikes and they're fun and they should be fun. And, you can get stressed out on anything in life, even when you are making bikes. But in the end, bikes are awesome and they're fun, and you can get back to that always. So
I love that.
Love it.
Cool. Well, hey, it has been an honor to nerd out with you.
Yeah.
It's been an honor to talk like a 5-year-old with you. It is, for those that are listening, I think he brings up great points of, throughout your day, if you're needing to just recharge or reset, get out there, whether it be on a bike or, in the mountains or just even a walk around the block. That reset is so key to a lot of things. One step further, maybe go out, buy an LT when you can.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, enjoy it.
And we really appreciate your time, your expertise, your wisdom, all the above. Yeah, passion for sure.
Anytime. Yeah. Have a good year. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
100%.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Nice.